The faint sound of sirens pierces the night sky. The ground trembles as bombs explode in the distance. Smoke rises over shattered cities. Europe is once again drowning in war, the deadliest in human history. This is World War II, and at the center of this chaos stands one man, a man whose ambition, hatred, and hunger for power would change the fate of the entire world. His name was Adolf Hitler. The rise of a dictator. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20, 1889, in a small Austrian town called Braunau am Inn. His father was a strict customs officer. His mother, a kind and gentle woman. As a child, Hitler was bright but rebellious. He dreamed of becoming an artist. Twice he applied to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, and twice he was rejected. Those failures, mixed with poverty and humiliation, planted the first seeds of bitterness in his heart, a bitterness that soon turned into hatred. When World War I broke out in 1914, Hitler joined the German army. He fought bravely and earned several medals. But when Germany lost the war, something inside him broke. The Treaty of Versailles humiliated Germany, limiting its army, forcing it to pay huge reparations, and taking away large portions of its land. Hitler saw this as a betrayal. He began to believe that Germany had been stabbed in the back by Jews and corrupt politicians. That belief became his obsession. Birth of the Nazi Party. After the war, Germany was in ruins, its people hungry, unemployed, and hopeless. Amid that chaos, Hitler joined a small nationalist group called the German Workers' Party. He was a passionate speaker, emotional, fiery, and persuasive. Within a short time, he became the party's most visible face and changed its name to the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or simply the Nazi Party. Hitler's speeches were filled with promises to restore Germany's pride, rebuild its strength, and take revenge on those who had humiliated the nation. He blamed the Jews for every problem, claiming they were corrupting German society from within. To millions of desperate Germans, his words felt like salvation. The failed coup and Mein Kampf in 1923. Hitler and his followers tried to seize power in Munich, an event known as the Beer Hall Putsch. The coup failed and Hitler was arrested. But prison did not silence him. Behind bars, he wrote his infamous book, Mein Kampf, My Struggle, a disturbing blueprint for his future vision: the destruction of the Jews, German world domination, and the creation of a so-called pure Aryan race. When he was released in 1924, Hitler rebuilt his party. He no longer tried to overthrow the government by force. Instead, he decided to take control legally through propaganda, manipulation, and the desperation of a broken people. The road to power. By the early 1930s, the Great Depression had devastated Germany's economy. Factories were closed, food was scarce, and millions were jobless. Hitler promised a miracle: jobs, stability, and a restored national pride. His slogan, "Make Germany Great Again," echoed through the streets. People, tired of suffering, turned to him as their savior. In 1933, President Hindenburg appointed Hitler as Chancellor of Germany. Within months, Hitler used the Reichstag fire to destroy democracy. He passed the Enabling Act, giving himself absolute power. Opposition parties were banned. Freedom of speech and press disappeared. From that moment, Germany became a dictatorship. Hitler proclaimed, Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer, one people, one empire, one leader. He was no longer just a politician. He was the Führer. Rebuilding Germany. For war under Hitler's command, Germany began an extraordinary transformation. Massive infrastructure projects, new highways, and reopened factories gave the illusion of progress. Unemployment dropped dramatically. People believed Hitler was saving the nation. But behind this apparent prosperity, something dark was brewing. Hitler was secretly rebuilding the German army, a direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles. He began producing tanks, aircraft, and weapons on a massive scale. At the same time, he unleashed a campaign of hate against the Jews. The Nuremberg Laws of 1935 stripped Jews of citizenship and rights. Jewish businesses were boycotted, children expelled from schools, and families forced out of their homes. Germany was becoming a nation built on fear and obedience. The first conquest. By 1938, Hitler's ambitions extended beyond Germany's borders. He annexed Austria in what he called the Anschluss, claiming the two countries were one German nation. Next, he demanded the Sudetenland, a region of Czechoslovakia. Britain and France, desperate to avoid another war, signed the Munich Agreement, giving Hitler what he wanted. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain returned home declaring, "Peace for our time." But peace was an illusion. Hitler wanted more. On September 1, 1939, German forces invaded Poland using a new and terrifying military tactic, the Blitzkrieg, or lightning war. Within weeks, Poland was crushed. Britain and France could no longer stay silent. They declared war on Germany. The Second World War had begun. Hitler's Europe between 1939 and 1941. Hitler's armies swept across Europe with unstoppable speed. Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and France fell one after another. By mid-1940, the Nazi flag flew over Paris. Hitler seemed invincible. But one enemy still stood, Great Britain. He launched the Battle of Britain, an all-out air assault designed to bomb the island into submission. Night after night, German bombers pounded London. Yet, the British Royal Air Force fought back fiercely. Hitler suffered his first major defeat, Operation Barbarossa, and the Holocaust unable to conquer Britain. Hitler turned eastward toward the vast lands of the Soviet Union. In June 1941, he launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in history. Millions of German soldiers crossed the border, expecting a quick victory. But they were not prepared for the brutal Russian winter or the fierce resistance of the Red Army. As the battle raged, Hitler's regime began its most horrific act, the Holocaust. The Nazis built extermination camps across occupied Europe, Auschwitz, Treblinka, Dachau. Jews were rounded up, transported in cattle trains, stripped of everything, and murdered in gas chambers. Men, women, and children, 6 million Jews in total, were exterminated, along with millions of others, Roma, Slavs, political prisoners, and anyone the regime considered inferior. It was genocide on an industrial scale. The darkest chapter in human history. The turning of the tide in December 1941. Hitler made another catastrophic mistake. He declared war on the United States after Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor. Now, Germany faced three powerful enemies, Britain, the Soviet Union, and America. By 1942, the momentum had shifted. At Stalingrad, German forces were trapped and destroyed, over 300,000 soldiers killed or captured. The myth of Nazi invincibility was shattered. From that moment on, Germany was on the defensive. The Allies advanced from the west, while Soviet troops pushed from the east. In June 1944, Allied forces launched D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history. They stormed the beaches of Normandy, France, and began liberating Europe from Nazi control. The fall of the Third Reich. Early 1945, the Third Reich was collapsing. Allied bombers reduced German cities to rubble. Soviet forces surrounded Berlin. Inside his underground bunker, a broken, paranoid Hitler refused to surrender. He ordered his generals to fight to the last man, even as reality closed in around him. On April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler took his own life with a bullet to the head. The next day, his body was burned, his empire in ruins. A week later, Germany surrendered. World War II in Europe was over. Legacy of destruction. Cost of Hitler's ambition was unimaginable. More than 70 million people died. Soldiers, civilians, men, women, and children. Entire cities were wiped off the map. The world was left in ashes. Hitler's dream of a 1,000-year Reich lasted only 12 years. But in that short time, it unleashed a nightmare that humanity can never forget. Even today, his name stands as a warning, a reminder of how hatred, racism, and blind obedience can destroy entire nations. History teaches us one thing: when a society begins to worship power and dehumanize others, it walks the same path to ruin that Hitler once paved. So remember, the past is not just history, it's a warning. And as long as we remember the horrors of that time, we can say, with conviction and hope, never again.